Here at Universal Deutschland, we believe that immersion and top-of-the-line theming is an absolute must, and the most important thing to us and our guest. That doesn't begin at the park's entrance, but all the way back as soon as you drive into our parking lot or arrive on one of our many free bus routes. Alright, welcome back to another video on Universal Deutschland. Kinda quick after the last one, but I got some great progress done in the last 2 days, and I figured I might as well go ahead and post this video because if I tried to cram any more into it, it's gonna be over 40 minutes long, 40-50 minutes, and I'm not looking to do that just yet. We will eventually have some episodes that are a lot longer, but for now we're gonna keep to our 20 to 25 minute video. It seems to be pretty comfortable for me to make, decent quality wise. Starting out today, I decided I need to redo the front entrance here to be able to expand the park a bit. So what I'm doing is I removed the old exit for the wrong turns. You know, if you came in, you didn't know you were coming in. That's now back before the bridge, and it gave me the opportunity to go ahead and start working on the bus depot. I struggled with this at first, but I got to a point that I was extremely happy with, and I still am going back to look at it every few minutes here because it's just absolutely beautiful. But you'll see plenty of that later. Right now, just kind of setting up the offshoots for the bus. You know, they're all going to come in on the same little road, and then they're going to split off into the individual segments. Originally, I just had 5 of these little stops, and I was thinking I wasn't really going to be able to fit more in without having either too big of a bus depot or having to throw in a walkway over the road, because I wanted all the buses to exit on the same side so there's no issue. And that's what you can see there, is I'm kind of trying to figure it out, seeing where I can put stuff, how I can put stuff. Eventually I do come to a conclusion on a slightly weird layout, but I honestly think it's going to work just fine for what we're working with here. I definitely know the common guest in this sort of park would probably know general public transportation a lot better than it is down here in the States. I know going to Universal resorts and trying to use their buses or their boats in can be a nightmare, just because a lot of people don't seem to really get to, you know, just calmly wait your turn and get on when it's time. But that's a needless rant. Setting up the stations here, or depots, I wanted each one to kind of feel like the existing buildings we have. I feel like these slanted solared roofs that have just the open sides are pretty good, because it's great for rain cover, it's great for some extra shade, but it's not anything that seems unrealistic for the park to build, you know, 20-30 times for these outdoor areas. I did have to kind of re-lay it out as I was putting in the thing here, because I wanted the roof to be smaller. I thought it would just look a bit better. I think I come back later and change that up somehow, but I don't quite remember. I know I definitely made these taller than the ones over at security or ticketing, because it felt better to have that slightly higher roof with the buses coming in and all of that. You will see a bunch of changes throughout the video to this area, just because I do step away and come back to it a little bit. And even this part right here gets redesigned in a couple minutes, because while this worked, it wasn't ideal for the bus loop, which is, I'm going to have the depots on the other side as well, and they're just flipped, so the buses that are going to go to that side of the terminal will have to go up the road to do a little U-turn on a special road, and then they can come back around. It's a little more time, but I looked at some bus depots of theme parks here in the States and in Europe, and you know, an easy comparison is the buses over at Disney. A lot of their buses will travel all the way down to the end of this long road with, depots on one side, and then they'll make a big U-turn. Mine's a little less elegant just because there is crosswalks involved. But again, that comes back to the understanding of, how to deal with public transit. It does mean I also take another shot at German road signs. Today's is a stop sign and a pedestrian zone. I figured it would make sense to have one of those just with the amount of guests we're going to have walking from the buses and whatnot. Excuse me. Setting up the path again, I like having this main path kind of run right next to where the toll booth where you pay for parking will be. It also means that there's an easy path I can have staff go down to access the staff door to get into those toll booths. And excuse me, drawing a blank there. This, I'm not sure if this is right. I didn't really look this one up. I just kind of like how I think the zebra crossings work for crosswalks. Because it's very quick. I need, the attention grab, and it works for me. Here is where I start building that pedestrian zone sign. It's a little goofy, a little cartoonish, but I think it turns out pretty decent. I do struggle with some of the pieces for a little bit, trying to get good size ones or positions, because I was trying to keep it as realistic as possible, but obviously some exceptions have to be made. I may go back and replace these with scaled down screens so I can put the actual image on it, but that just might be a loss of frame rate for no reason there. So eventually you can see I just settle on the arms being this kind of floating off the body. For the little boy it works better because he's got a square instead of a triangle. And then I just drop these wherever I feel like it would make sense. The buses have to be able to see it, proper postage. And then coming back through, realizing, well, I need some sort of fencing. Another one of those, looking at pictures of parks and whatnot across Europe, I noticed, there's not really like fences around things you'd see around parks in the States, like lakes, we'll have fences on our walkways all around them when there's water nearby, whereas in, I don't remember the park's name, but a park in the UK, you just see this lake and, it's no issue. There's a pier you can walk out onto, there's no railing, and it's like, okay, well, I guess it's, just don't be dumb. And that does make my life a bit easier, but I figured, big budget park, we're trying to keep to that, safety standard, and it's a road. We can't trust people around the road. At least not here. There's a big jump, as I was trying to test something out for 20 minutes and I didn't like it, so I just took all that out, decided to come back, fix up the tree line here. That whole section, again, is going to be tampered with again, but I needed to do something else for a bit, so I decided I'm going to work on the layout again. Now that the park's been expanded, because we moved that exit, we are now able to come back and start kind of, shrinking some of the lands, but increasing our circle size, while also giving some of the other lands a little more space. Still keeping to that dirt path thing before I commit to any positions, removing a reservoir, but we do come back later in the episode and actually build a new one off in a staff area, just that way, trying to keep some of that conservation going there. Repainting the terrain didn't really matter in the end. That gets torn up more and more, but I like having the landscape there already pre-painted because it's more incentive for me not to go back and flatten it just to make my life easy. But then finally I realized at the bus depot, well, I need some bollards, I think they are. Just tell the bus where to pull up to and stop. And eventually I'm just going to get all of these onto each of them. They're not lined up, in the exact same position. They're probably not in an exact realistic position either, but they look good, and that's what I was concerned about. I'm going to strive for realism, but I definitely want to still be able to be creative with it, have it look nice. You know, so maybe less realism and more, you know, pretend realism, play realism. I think John T over at Geekism says implied realism, which is just, it makes sense. Coming back in here, I started numbering them, and then I realized, well, I should probably have it be even odds on the different sides. Left side is going to be all the odd numbers, right side's all the evens, just kind of fixes it up. And then I realized, well, I need the, what's it called? The corral, the queue to line up for the buses. If there's going to be a lot of guests here, I know the buses here can get really crowded, especially for Epic Universe, because you have a whole park that's coming out to either those buses or your parking lot, and there's just not that many bus terminals. You know, there's only, I think, one terminal per location, so it definitely can get you held out for a while if you're leaving at a bad time. Was a little overambitious at the start here with how much queue I'd need. I come back in just a minute and make it a simple, you know, switchback cattle pen instead of this zigzagging monster. Those will come with the ride queues, especially in our Harry Potter land. Excuse me. Alright, there we go. Hopefully I got that put back together right. I had to have some water there. Don't know why I paused here for so long, but you can see now, like I said, I'm coming back and just making it a much more simple cattle pen. Switchback cattle pen, whatever that would be referred to if that's different for buses. I'm noticing in this and thinking back on my build, I didn't add a very good exit area for people coming off the bus, so I'll go back and fix that. What you're seeing here isn't even final for these queues, because they come back in a bit for the straight line you see there, which could be the exit, but is currently set up as being our special disability entrance. That way you can easily pull up in your wheelchair and not have to go through all these the zigzags and whatnot. Though I think, judging by the frames, we're coming up. Yep, there's the additional. I built this off camera completely on accident. Thought I built it on camera, realized I didn't. There's still some work to be done on it, so you get a little bit of that. But I decided I needed 2 more bus depots, because these 10 would probably, in a realistic environment, be reserved for buses that are partnered with Universal. You know, think about their signature resorts out there, and or any local resorts they may have partnered with. And then the rest of the resort, or the rest of the communities, the free buses, I'm sorry, they're all free, the city buses, that kind of stuff, would pull up just to these 2 terminals. Not really a plan on if 2 buses show up for the same terminal at the same time. Realistically, I'll probably throw another U-turn section in, or a little offshoot wait track, but that's here nor there at the time. Coming back in now, doing what really made me just full swing this, because it was starting to get a bit annoying. I didn't feel like I was making good progress on the build. And then as I start putting in these new trees and I painted the terrain, it really started giving me some ideas for how this area could look. So I was coming back through with these rocks, trying to figure out really, you know, what shapes look good, what colors would I put in, and I really liked how the taiga rocks looked here. Probably not entirely biome appropriate, but when you paint the rock texture on the terrain below them, add a little moss and that kind of stuff, it really just helps the ground pop. It's no longer just ground, it's like it's put there on purpose, it has a reason to be there. Same with adding these trees to the in-between sections of grass. It's just more foliage, it's nicer to look at, it helps break up some sight lines so it doesn't feel like just infinite concrete. And I can finally put the trees back on that front section so you can't see it from the highway as much, and the highway can't see you, or the park can't see the highway and the highway can't see the park. Just had to help with what I said in that mini intro, the whole deep theming. You know, I want you to feel like you've really entered this park's world. So that comes all the way out here as well. Numbering the terminals, this is where you'll see more of that even odd shenanigan. This also is where I start doing some extra lighting. The nighttime view is really what I'm most proud of on this build, but I still have some lighting to do, you know, making the crosswalks and whatnot. I do have to, you know, come back a few times. There's a big cut there because of it, to reset up this stuff, because the transform on the advanced gizmo and all that, trying to move the objects after placing them, stuff isn't perfect, and again, obviously my bus depots aren't lined up exactly, but I just come through, I manually adjust them once I get the basics in. And then now, I just decided to do a little cut there. I'm going to put in the lighting for the road a bit to help light up the area while keeping it dim, you know, no harsh bright fluorescence or anything like that. I'm going everything super chill and calm in the area just to help light it up enough to see, but realistically this is just for show. It's a pretty light. There may be some street lights off on the other side, but right now I'm just going with the pretty. The lights here were really when I noticed how offset my depots are, but also made me realize how important the lighting is going to be in the park as a whole. Just tweaking these ever so slightly each time to try and find the appropriate color that I could actually kind of enjoy. Harsh cut there to then making the fence. Just again trying to keep to that little bit of realism in the, you know, you don't want anyone at your buses being able to just go right into your park through the tree line. And more rocks because I realized it's a bit dull there, so might as well pretty it up. Same with this front area, though this one is a bit more custom with the rocks I use because it wasn't placing right with the brush tool. It didn't feel good, very sparse. But that will transition us into that new staff area I was talking about. I went and deleted that road in the back I talked about in the last episode to start flattening out the area for the wardrobe, which led me to realizing there was a bunch of forest nearby that really needed to either be trimmed down or changed up because it didn't work with the layout. Excuse me, bit of a yawn there. So there's that forest, you know, I'm trying to just save as much space as I can in our little parcel while keeping a lot of that nature on the edges. That way our team members coming in, they get some pretty views and we're not taking up too much of anything in the area, because again, we did tear down a bunch of farmland to build this, so I'm kind of taking it from a conservation, I guess is the term, type standpoint, and trying to really see just okay, well, if I destroyed this much land, what can I put back? You know, the retention pond, which I think we go to in a minute. If I don't have any build footage of it, I'll definitely have it in the ending bit. Trying something different today. Don't think I'm doing a real-time section. Gonna just give some glamour shots. I have a bunch of stuff already worked on in a different part of the park that I don't quite want to have spoiled yet, so I'm just going to give you guys glamour shots of the new things. There's that new exit road I was talking about. There's the updated lake in the back. But for now, have a good day. Cheers.